RodMob. This is The Splash, your Northern California fishing podcast.
Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. I'm Scott.
And I'm Sarah.
We're coming at you from the musty-smelling RodMob treehouse here in cold and damp Portola Valley. It's Thursday, December 13th, and this is episode 38 of The Splash, your weekly Northern California fishing podcast.
Well, it's the middle of December already, and the countdown is on for Christmas. What?
Fishmas.
Oh, yes, Fishmas. Well, yes. That's what we're celebrating around here anyway. We've been counting down the 12 days of Fishmas on our blog with the stuff we'd love to have our true loves bring to us. So if you're looking for some ideas for the angler on your list, or you need to beef up your own fishing wish list, have a look at RodMob.com. We'll be hitting day 5 next, and it's something a lot more useful than 5 golden rings.
On the fishing front, crab and rockfish is still going strong. There's some Delta striper action, and steelhead fishing is picking up.
You were out on the Delta on Monday.
Yep, sure was. We'll talk about that today and hit on all the other latest reports. But as usual, let's kick things off with the news.
Here's Sarah with the latest headlines.
Well, here's what's happening in the news this week. San Francisco commercial crab fishermen got back to business on Tuesday. They'd been on strike since last week, but the strike ended Monday when buyers agreed to continue paying the $3 per pound crab price negotiated at the start of the season. So, good news in the San Francisco Bay Area. There will be crab in the local markets for the holidays.
Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? Bad boys, what you gonna do?
There was some bad news for one commercial crab fisherman this week, though. He had 5 pots set that turned out to be located inside the Montara State Marine Reserve off the San Mateo County coast. Game wardens found his pots, and he was charged with violating the California Marine Life Protection Act. He'll be fined $12,500 in penalties, plus have to reimburse law enforcement costs. Good reminder to check those Marine Reserve maps, especially now that new Northern California protected areas go into effect on December 19th. And hot off the presses, the California Department of Fish and Game announced this afternoon that the opening of commercial crab season on the North Coast has been delayed again. The first round of preseason quality tests led to pushing the opener from December 1st to December 16th to allow for more time for meat development. But the latest round of testing showed that crab won't be ready on that date either, so the season is now scheduled to open on December 31st. Humboldt squid are making the news in Santa Cruz County after several hundred of them washed ashore on a 12-mile stretch of beaches over the weekend. The San Francisco Chronicle interviewed squid researchers from Stanford University this week, and they said that strandings are actually pretty common when squid make their way into a new area. Humboldt squid are usually found much farther south, closer to Baja California and the west coast of South America, where the Humboldt Current is. They've been showing up along the coast of Monterey and Santa Cruz more frequently over the past 10 years or so, and some scientists believe they head north when there are El Niño conditions and the water in their normal habitat becomes too warm. The squid that have been washing up on shore are juveniles, between 2 to 3 feet long, but the Humboldt squid can grow to be nearly 5 feet long. The Chronicle article points out that they can be quite intimidating for divers since they're pretty aggressive. This species of squid is among the largest carnivorous squid in the world, and the article quotes one of the researchers saying, "They're not afraid to approach divers and touch them. They'll grab you with their arms and try to figure out what you are." Marine biologists are analyzing the contents of the squid's stomachs to see if they ingested something that could have disoriented them, but strandings like this one in a newly colonized area typically stop once the squid get established.
I still have a couple hundred more bulbs to check. In the meantime, I can light the Santa and the 8 tiny reindeer and the Merry Christmas sign. That should look good. Ready?
You want me to do the drum roll thing?
No, it's okay. Here goes nothing.
So this time of year, there are all kinds of feel-good holiday stories in the news, but this one really stood out. A local fisherman had what I think is probably the best Christmas decoration ever in his front yard. A giant salmon, all decked out with lights and even a little Santa cap. Some Grinch came along and stole it, and the fisherman drove all around trying to find his salmon, with no luck. But here's the Christmas miracle part. A neighbor found a whole slew of Christmas displays had been dumped in her yard and returned the fish. The man is reinstalling the salmon at the center of his Christmas display with one adjustment. He's adding a security camera.
Oh, talk about pissing your money away. Oh, I hope you kids see what a silly waste of resources this was.
You worked really hard, Grandma.
So do washing machines.
And a Southern California angler caught what would be a record-breaking yellowfin this week. But as San Diego's CBS 8 reports, he's made history, but not the official record.
This is a fish of a lifetime.
Measuring nearly 8 feet,
7 feet, 10 inches.
And weighed in at 445 pounds. This is the largest yellowtail tuna ever caught by a rod and reel angler.
Nobody's seen a fish of this size.
Jason Gross is the director of operations at XL Sport Fishing. The company owns the boat that 33-year-old John Petruscu, an electrician from La Mesa, was aboard when he caught the massive tuna. It happened during a 16-day trip at Hurricane Bank, 960 miles from Point Loma. When the crew arrived back to Fisherman's Landing Sunday, word had spread so fast, more than 300 people gathered to witness the historic event.
It was like a paparazzi out there, just camera flashes going off everywhere.
The fish will now be used to make a life-size mold before pieces of it are sent to Scripps for research.
The mold will be out of plaster, so when it's finished, we'll have a couple 100 pounds of plaster on them.
As for its standing, the tuna won't be recognized by the International Game Fish Association because the boat's captain held the rod for Petruscu after the line got twisted near the anchor. Still, the catch shatters what we've seen in the past and gives new meaning to the sport.
It just shows that you don't have to go to a far-off destination to catch these amazing fish.
The tuna beats the previous record of 427 pounds, which was set this past April.
Stay on top of the latest fishing action. Subscribe to RodMob Podcasts on iTunes. It's free, and you'll always get the latest episodes.
And finally, here are the results from last weekend's Port-a-Sac Striper Kayak Fishing Derby. Jim Meyer reports that first place went to Ron Weimarian, who had 4 fish totaling 517 points. And second place went to Rob Knowles of Team Wilderness System. Ron had a 5-fish bag for 499.5 points. Jim said the surprise fish of the day were the catfish, which everyone seemed to be catching. And we just want to give another shout out here to the Headwaters Kayak Shop in Lodi. We were there last week. They hosted Jim's striper fishing from a kayak seminar. If you're looking to get outfitted for kayak fishing, we do definitely recommend getting in touch with Daniel and the guys there at the Headwaters Shop. You can check them out on Facebook or on their website at headwaterskayak.com. Well, that's it for the headlines. Now for some tight lines. Here are the latest reports on the best Northern California fishing.
Boats working the North Coast found some days this week to go out and get in some fishing. The Real Steel out of Eureka got in a quick trip on Sunday, and on Monday enjoyed a full day of crabbing in the sun. They reported they are pulling 3 pots on average for 50 large crab. Anglers working the jetty got perch and rockfish. Private boaters found limits of crab and rockfish working areas off of Carmet and Fort Ross. Monday's great weather in Bodega Bay gave Captain Rick Powers on the New Sea Angler a chance to delight his customers with quick limits of rockfish and crab, including 11 lings fishing off the Russian River. Basically, when the weather cooperates, limits of rockfish and crab are common. Out of San Francisco, boats that headed outside the gate this week continued to score limits of rockfish and crab. On Saturday, the New Huck Fin enjoyed the calm conditions along the Marin coast, picking up 27 limits of rock cod and crab. On Tuesday, the New Seeker treated their 23 anglers aboard to combo limits, including 4 lings to 10 pounds. The Queen of Hearts out of Half Moon Bay enjoyed some good weather, good folks, and good fishing on Tuesday. They headed towards Pigeon Point, where they scored limits for all aboard with 8 ling cod and a couple cabezon. Good crabbing continues out of Pillar Point, but we did see some reports that the sizes are dropping.
In Santa Cruz, we got a report from Bayside Marine earlier this week that sea bass are being caught in 100 feet of water. Rock fishing is good, and lings are on the bite near 5 Mile and the Mile Buoy. Crab fishing is still going strong, and anglers have been catching some of those Humboldt squid we mentioned earlier as well. Capitola Boat and Bait posted on Tuesday that there was a 43-pound sea bass caught in 56 feet of water on the east side of Adams Reef. And in Monterey, Chris's Fishing and Whale Watching reported in today with 3/4 limits of rock cod and 65 dungees for 19 anglers on the Caroline. They're planning to head to Big Sur tomorrow for rock cod.
In the San Francisco Bay, the better action seems to be on the north side. The Pump House, Hamilton Flats, and the Petaluma River continue to be good spots for sturgeon. Tides are good and runoff from the rain has pushed out the pesky bait burglaring crabs. Time to get out for some dinos. In the South Bay, the outgoing tide produced some sturgeon off of the Oakland Airport and down at the Dumbarton Bridge, and there was a 53-inch sturgeon cut off the pier at Oyster Point on Sunday. Limits of perch were also reported from the pier.
The water in the Delta is still pretty brown and there's a lot of debris around. Striper action continues to be scattered throughout. Benicia and Antioch areas are seeing a good bite, with anglers using bullheads, minnows, shad, and grass shrimp. Sturgeon reports are coming out of Montezuma and out of Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I was out fishing on Monday in Grizzly Bay and off of the Mothball Fleet with Captain Steve Talmadge aboard the Flash. We got into a couple undersized sturgeon and some shaker stripers, and ended the day with a couple keeper stripers for dinner. All the fish we got that day were on grass shrimp. On Sunday, one of Captain Steve's guests landed a 63-inch sturgeon.
Well, John and Jonathan Politis checked in with us about an hour ago after a day of fishing. Here's what John had to say. Had the boat into the water by 7:15, headed straight to Nurse Slough, then began to troll our hair raisers, rattle traps, and our new bleeding red ruby Yozuri shallow running broken backs with white trailer worms. Made it all the way through Nurse and halfway up Denverton Slough without a tap. So we blasted out of there into Montezuma to troll the glass house and the rock wall with the same results. No fish. We went for one more stop at a flowing pipe, and Jonathan hooked up and threw back a nice healthy bass. You can see the picture of that nice striper on the RodMob Facebook page, and John also added that the water was still murky from the big rains, making it harder for the bass to snap at their lures.
We want to hear from you. Got a fishing report, a tip, a review, a comment on the show? Drop us a message on the RodMob hotline. Then listen for it on an upcoming episode. 662-ROD-MOB-5.
Now let's look at the lakes. Lake Shasta's on NorCal Fishing News hot list this week for an excellent bass bite. Western Outdoor News reports the bass have been pushed down a little deeper this week, and the creek arms are too cold but recommends primary and secondary points in the main lake. Shasta 24/7 suggests staying in the lower third of the arms, working the points and rocky outcroppings. Once they find the fish, anglers are catching their limits on spinnerbaits, crankbaits, rip baits, and swim baits, and be sure to watch out for debris in the upper arms of the lake. There are a few weeks to fish yet at Eagle Lake before it closes on December 31st. Jig fishing's been popular, and shore anglers are finding lots of shakers around Pikes Point and the Jetty. Catfish and bass are still biting at Clear Lake. Clear Lake Outdoors reports live bait is your best bet. Catfish are hitting on night crawlers and minnows. Collins Lake is still a good trout hotspot. The lake is muddy, but that's not stopping anglers from getting their limits. The dam and beach have been productive.
In the East Bay area, NorCal Fishing News has Lake Del Valle as a best bite this week. Their report says the lake is a bit murky but is holding up well. Trout fishing is very good despite somewhat cloudy water. Trout are in the top 2 to 4 feet of water. Surface temperature is 56 degrees. Best spots are the East Beach and Narrows. Shore anglers and boaters can do well at both spots. Best baits have been mice tails, inflated night crawlers, gold castmasters, or brightly colored power bait. Anglers are landing stripers at San Luis Reservoir on cut bait, minnows, and anchovy-colored swim baits around the trash racks, basalt wreck area, the Romero Visitor Center, and in the forebay. And in the Motherlode area, bank fishing at New Melones is good for planters and some holdovers, reports the staff at Glory Hole Sports. A lot of anglers are catching planted fish near the boat launches, and the holdovers are starting to show up also. Glory Hole is offering a bank fisherman's survival kit that includes rainbow garlic power bait, mini crawlers, assorted mallows, egg weights, 2 castmasters, swivels, and hooks. There are many different ways to rig these few baits. Stop by the store and they'll show you how and hopefully help you catch some fish. We also saw a report of some good bass fishing up in the river arm of New Melones. Lake Amador is getting more than 1,000 pounds of trout planted daily. The lake has plenty of water and the fishing is great. Debbie at the Lake Amador store says lots of huge trout are being caught. Lake Comanche remains a good spot to catch trout, and time is running out to try and catch one of those tagged fish left over from the Derby. Catch one before the end of the year and win an overnight stay in one of the lakeside cabins. And the staff at McSwain Reservoir Marina report excellent trout fishing. Trollers are scoring in the upper lake with night crawlers behind flashers. Shore anglers are filling their stringers using chartreuse and rainbow power bait.
Lake fishing is good in the Sierras. Rainbows and browns are on the bite at Lake Tahoe, and a 28-pound Mackinaw was caught there on Sunday. We're seeing good reports from Stampede Reservoir and Donner Lake. Pyramid Lake is going off too. Western Outdoor News published a report on Tuesday from Joe Mendez of Eagle Eye Charters, who says that the cutthroat trout fishing at Pyramid Lake is the best he can remember. In the article, Joe Mendez reports right now trollers can catch 20 to 30 fish a day, running apex and flatfish outside the drop-offs from the north nets to Pelican, 17 to 25 feet deep, over 50 to 60 feet of water. Shore fishing has been incredible, with lots of big fish being taken by fly fishermen and jig and spoon casters. One friend of mine caught 10 3/4 pound and 12-pound cutthroats this past week, throwing black jigs from the shore at washout. Both trollers and shore anglers were catching good numbers of quality, beautiful Lahotans over the past few weeks. Crosby Lodge checked in 5 fish over 10 pounds this past week alone, 2 10s, a 12, and 2 13s.
And on the rivers, mostly folks are waiting for rivers to clear, but Tony Sepulveda of Greenwater Fishing Adventures posted a great shot of a winter steelhead caught on the Smith River yesterday and reports they're starting to show in all the North Coast rivers. We're hearing good reports from the Trinity River, too. The river's cleared down to the North Fork, and folks are catching bright steelhead on flies, back-trolled plugs, and roe. Western Outdoor News reports some fish have been over 10 pounds. The Sacramento River is still muddy with lots of debris, but in the Sacramento area, some stripers are still being caught in the Deepwater Channel. And the Feather River has been fishable, and bait fishermen drifting roe and night crawlers are catching some steelhead. In the eastern Sierras, Sierra Drifters Guide Service reported it was pretty nice and warm on the lower Owens River on Monday, where they hooked 30 rainbows and browns, but the banana belt condition is over and snow is coming in. Tom says flows remain at 100 CFS on the lower Owens with a great Baetis hatch even through the wind.
Hey, RodMobbers, help support the show. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and leave a review.
Woo! Fish! Woo! All right!
Catch of the week.
This week, our podcast album artwork comes from Jonathan Politis. Jonathan caught and released this nice striped bass today, fishing out of Montezuma Slough. Thanks, John and Jonathan, for the report and for posting this week's Catch of the Week.
And now for our poll question. Last week we asked, how much fishing do you do from a boat?
25% of you said you always fish from a boat. 38% said more than half the time. 12% said about half the time. 12% said you fish from a boat less than half the time. And 13% never fish from a boat. When you go fishing, how much of the time is it that you're fishing from a boat?
Definitely more than half the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we've got, 2-3 weeks left in the year? Well, our poll question this week is, are you done fishing for the year? Or are you going to squeeze out a few more trips before the year's out? We want to know. Head on over to rodmob.com to cast your vote.
Upcoming events you won't want to miss. Here's the RodMob calendar.
Well, December 14th through the 16th, Pittsburgh Marina and Dockside Bait and Tackle will hold a sturgeon and striped bass derby. The entry fee is $35 and that includes lunch. All proceeds go to the prizes. Call 925-252-0151 for more info.
On December 16th, salmon fishing closes on the Sacramento, Feather, and American Rivers.
December 19th, the California Inland Fisheries Foundation is holding its general membership holiday dinner meeting at the Elks Lodge in Sacramento. Dinner starts at 7 p.m.
December 31st is the last day for salmon fishing on the Klamath, Trinity, and McCallum River from the Highway 99 Bridge to the Woolbridge Irrigation District Dam, including Lake Lodi.
Rock fishing ends on December 31st, too, from Point Arena to the Mexican border.
For details on these and other upcoming events, check out our events page at rodmob.com.
And if you have an event you'd like us to mention, just drop us a line at fishon@rodmob.com.
Well, that's it for this week. If holiday shopping, the forecasted rain, and your mile-long honey-do list don't keep you off the water this week, remember to post your fishing report on our Facebook page at facebook.com/RodMob. Or leave us a message on the RodMob hotline at 662-RodMob5.
And as always, if you post or send in a report, we'll send you a free weather-resistant decal so you can help rep the RodMob on your car, truck, or boat.
Thanks for listening and supporting the RodMob. You guys rock. Have a great week, and until next time,
Raise the eye rock! Clean your room!
keep us posted.
RodMob.